Hello everyone, welcome to my vlog. So today's vlog will be a little bit different. I'm supposed to talk about completely different topic, but I had quite interesting week and I had to deal with several different businesses, and I went through extremely horrible experiences dealing with them. And that really get me thinking, and I was trying to figure out what's really going on, and that kind of make me to create this vlog. I want to talk about it because I think those things are extremely important, and sometimes in this entire chaos we go through every single day, we forget about those basics, and those are the things which most of the time they're like extremely important in our business, in our career. And if we start neglecting them, we simply will start losing the business, and our career will go down the drain. So I just want to point them out today because I'm kind of shocked that in 21st centuries, so many businesses and big companies and you know, like people who think they have huge career, they neglect those things. And I'm gonna talk through my business because I think it's gonna be easier for me to explain some of those things, and not to mention that those rules applies to every business. Doesn't matter what you do, whatever industry you are in, those things applies everywhere. So you don't have to be a headshot or portrait or photographer. You can be in completely different field, but those things still are important, and they're gonna apply to your business. So let's jump into it right away. Let me start saying this. If you are successful businessman or photographer or whatever industry you're in, there's two sides of your career. So let's say in my case, I can be extremely good photographer. I can be the best headshot photographer on the planet, and I can produce the best images you can possibly imagine. But I neglect the business side of the kind of career, my business will be affected, and I will sacrifice sooner or later, and that's gonna bite me back because I'm neglecting this other side of this career. And I want to start with this because we have to keep the balance. You can, especially I think in being in this creative field, those are two things which they equally important, and we cannot really just focus on one and neglect the other one, or other way around, because that simply is not going to work. We have to look after this entire thing. And I know running the business is a very complex thing, and everyone has own ways to deal with this, but there's simple rules and simple things which we have to all like look at them, and we have to make sure that they run properly, and we do them the best way and the right way. So that's something which we have to remember. So let me start with those four components, in my opinion, which are extremely important. So the first one is the communication with the client. Whenever I receive an email or a message, or someone contacts me through social media, I'm trying to respond to the client as quick as possible. I think we have to give ourselves sometimes a little bit of time, and 24 hours is the kind of minimum which we have to respond to the client. I'm trying to do this again as quick as possible if I'm on my phone, or you know, like I have access to internet. If there is some important client or someone new, I'm trying to respond as quick as I can. There's few reasons behind it. Well, first of all, that's gonna show to your client that you're serious about what you do. Another thing which is extremely important in this case, that you know, like we cannot wait week or 2 weeks with responding, because by that time the client either is gonna find someone else, or you know, like the business is gonna slip from our hands. Not to mention that if you're not gonna respond, that's also might have another effect, which is that this client might say to some other, I don't know, potential person who's looking for the same service, like, you know, I contacted this guy and, you know, like he didn't respond to me, and stuff like that. So, you know, it's going to be consequences if we're going to be kind of neglecting that part. And you know, I'm not saying that, you know, you have to jump in on the phone right away and respond it, but you have to track, you know, what kind of information you're getting, and when clients contact you, and then try to respond to them fairly quick to continue this process of getting this new potential client. I'm not gonna say how those other companies deal with this, but this is one of my rules which I always try to follow, and even if I go on vacation, most of the time there's access to the internet, and there's another way, like, you know, if someone calls you, you can leave the message that, let's say you're out of the country or something, so client knows exactly what's going on, and then you can just you know, reach them back with several I don't know, days or a certain time frame which you actually well left a message, and they know exactly what is going on. So that's the first one. What is the next one? And this is one of the most neglected thing in my opinion these days. Basically respecting the other person's time. Time today is one of the most valuable things ever. So what I want to say by that is that, let's say you have a meeting, or you schedule the photo shoot, or you schedule the phone call, try to be on time all the time, because I've noticed for many times I had some meetings scheduled and people were late half an hour, or the worst case scenario was that, you know, someone scheduled a meeting with me, and 5 minutes to the meeting they send me a message and then say, look, you know what, I have different plans, or something comes up, and, you know, I cannot meet you, can we reschedule, and stuff like that. That's absolutely drives me nuts, and this is the first red flag for well, the person who you know, tried to meet with me, or, you know, like if there's like, I'm going after let's say business, or I want to kind of talk to someone about certain things, and someone doesn't respect my time, then this is not right, and I'm trying to right away either just, you know, drop that person, or to find some other business which I can be treated with respect. And why I'm even mentioning that, because I've noticed over the last few years, this is like a huge problem on our hands, that, you know, like people are constantly late, people don't show up, people just don't respect others people time. And as I said before, you know, we really living in the crazy times where, you know, we schedule meetings back to back, you know, we try to make sure that everything is on time, and then one let's say late person can mess up your whole day, and then you're not only neglecting that person, but you're neglecting, or you just, you know, that affects gonna another clients and stuff like that. So make sure you always on time. And you know what, even if I have a meeting where I have to drive somewhere, and that's most of the time living in North America, always take some extra time to get to the place before the scheduled time, so you have that extra time in case, I don't know, you bump into a traffic, or you know, whatever happens, you have some additional few minutes just in case, you know, you might get into some difficulties or issues to get in that place. And that's gonna always benefit you, because if you are on time and you actually respecting someone else's time, I always notice that people like always, wow, that's so cool, because this is something which, you know, people simply don't pay attention to these days. And a lot of businesses, like they have this whole thing off the chart, and I'm not sure who is behind this sometimes, but that's really throws me off. And I'm sure most of you guys, when you got into those situations, you're always frustrated and angry and upset because this is not the right way to deal with other people. So what is the next one? And this is something which is kind of logical, and there's like a little common sense, but I think sometimes that's also forget, and you know, some businesses, they don't kind of pay attention to this little thing and little factor, which is listening to the clients. I found that sometimes, you know, like you trying to get some business, and this is what I'm always trying to do, and whenever I have a client, listen what your client has to say, because each person is different. They have different needs, they have different requirements, they have different stuff on their mind, and we have to listening to them to figure out what they're looking for, and based on that provide them the service and basically give them what they're looking for. I've been recently on several meetings where, you know, people are, you know, I was trying to get some service, and they were telling me what they do, and you know, what they can do for me, and you know, all this stuff, but they never ask what I'm looking for. And especially I found in this creative industry, we have to constantly listening what other people has to say, because that's what's going to make our work better, plus the client's going to be more happy, and we can really meet somewhere in the middle to find a solution for their needs. And why I'm even again mentioning this stuff, because this is really important today. You as a business owner and as a photographer, in my case, I have to always listen, because that's what gets us into trouble in the first place. That, you know, we create something and clients like, okay, this is not what I'm looking for, but and you just like, okay, why? Like, what do you mean? But because you didn't listen what the client has to say, and you were just like, okay, this is what I do, this is what we're gonna do, and then, you know, let's do it, and then it's done, and then the client started like finally, you know, listening to this client, and then just like, okay, you know what, I didn't hear that what you were looking for. So I want to mention that, because those things gonna benefit us, and they're gonna simply make us better at what we do, and the clients, they're gonna be much happier with the product or service we're gonna provide them. And the last thing, and the final factor of running our business, which is extremely important in my opinion, is delivering what we promise to the client. Because I also bump into situations where you know, certain business, they were promising me crazy stuff, and then when it comes to the delivery, you know, that was another story. So honesty is extremely important, and I found in my case, whatever I do, I try to sometimes under promise and over deliver, but if I'm not able to do something, I'm not going to tell the client I'm going to be able to do this, because that's something which always gets us into the trouble, and that's going to ruin our reputation, and not only we're going to lose the client, but we also lose other opportunities to work for somebody else, because I'm sure you guys are aware of that. The word of mouth spreads out fairly quick, and that's going to ruin our business. And I also bump into the situations where again, you know, the business or the company promised me crazy stuff, and then they like, okay, we do this, we do that, and then, you know, just this is how this whole thing is gonna work, and then, you know, simply they couldn't deliver. And I'm sure they knew about it. They tried to kind of get me hooked on and get the business, but that's not the way it works. And then in addition, what I would like to add to this is, you know, this is something which we talked a few seconds ago about respecting some other people's time. So I want to add to this one thing that also make sure so that well, make sure that, you know, like you also create some kind of time frame, you know, when you're going to deliver a certain product. You not only, like, you know, the one thing is, you know, what you're going to deliver, but another thing is when you're going to deliver. Because I've been in also situations where someone promised me that, okay, this product will be delivered to you, let's say in 2 weeks, and, you know, 2 months after that, you know, I'm still waiting and getting frustrated and getting upset and stuff like that. So honestly, this is something which is extremely important in this case. So let's say you know that, you know, it's gonna take you, let's say, a couple weeks to in my case edit those images and deliver them. So I know, okay, I have to meet those dates, because promise is a promise, and, you know, the deadline is a deadline, and I want to make sure that I get those images to the client on that time. So okay, so those are the 4 important components of running the business. I'm sure you guys are aware that, and already know that these are really simple things, but if you look around and then you will actually start analyzing some of this recent deals or recent business you guys work with, how many of them could meet all of those things? So you have to answer this yourself. But if you want to run your business properly, make sure that all those 4 factors you can deliver them, and then you look after them, and then you basically create really healthy environment where you have really also healthy relationship with your clients, and your business is looked after, and that's gonna only make you more and more successful. So this is something what I would like to share with you today. I hope that was interesting. I've been chatting for quite a bit, and I'm really sorry. I was just trying also explain myself as good as possible. Sometimes it's difficult for me, but I hope the message is fairly clear and you guys understood what I meant by you know, explaining all those things. So wishing you guys fantastic day. I hope you guys have amazing long weekend. That's what we have here in Canada, and I'm not gonna take more of your time. Thank you for watching this, and I'll chat with you guys very soon. Bye bye.